Hey guys, it's Shannon from Shannon Creates. Today we'll be working on my mini version of the Emotional Octopus pattern, which is available free on my blog, or you can download the full pattern on Etsy or Ravelry. You'll need 2 skeins of Burnette Velvet Plus in 2 different colors, a 10mm crochet hook, and some safety eyes. I'm using 12mm ones. So get your materials ready and let's get started. So you'll want to grab your first color of your velvet. This yarn is so luscious and squishy. If you have not used it, it is so soft. And I like to pull from the center of my skein. I find it a lot easier than going from the outside. You usually will get a bunch when you pull from it, and you might have to get a little hard of a yank. And there we are with a bunch of yarn vomit. Once you find your end, you're going to want to start your first body. So you're going to want to take your yarn and create a slip knot on your hook and then chain 2. And then in the first chain, you're going to want to single crochet 8. And I place my stitch marker on the first chain just to keep my place because this yarn can be so hard to see. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's going to create your round to create the body. And you're going to see this big gap, and that's because I'm not using a magic circle. The reason I'm choosing not to use a magic circle is I find when you're trying to pull the magic circle tight, it can be really difficult. So the yarn ends up shredding. So now we're going to take that stitch marker out of that place stitch, and we're going to continue on with round 2 and placing 2 single crochets in each stitch, starting right off, not slip stitching to attach, but 2 single crochets in the first stitch. And I'm just placing my marker to kind of help me keep my place. Making sure to place both single crochet in the first stitch, and then just continuing that pattern around the entire row, 2 single crochet in each stitch, so you should end up with 16 at the end. Once we are back at our stitch marker, we're going to just take that out so we can help keep our place. And then we're going to single crochet, putting our stitch marker back so that we can make sure we can see where we're going. And then we're going to single crochet 1 stitch in each of the previous stitches. So you should have 16 at the end of this row. Once you are back to your stitch marker, we're going to continue on by doing that single crocheting in every stitch of the previous row You may want to keep moving your stitch marker for these next rows. However, you can keep it in the same place if you wanted to just count 16. However, I recommend moving it just because this yarn can be tough to see your stitches at times. So I removed mine and we're going to go into the next row, placing the stitch marker back into our first single crochet, and then continuing that row of single crocheting 16 around. Once you're back at your stitch marker, you're going to see that you're starting to get this bow-like shape, and then you're going to repeat that, going one single crochet in every stitch, 16 around total, for 3 more rows. Stopping to do a little check-in before our last row. You can see that the body's starting to develop. You can kind of see the little shape. Obviously our tail at the end, you'll have to fix the top when you do the sewing and weaving in ends, but you can see his little body starting to develop. So we're going to continue on, finishing up our last row of single crochet. Finished our last row of single crochet, we are going to continue on, and keeping our stitch marker in place, we're going to chain 1 and then turn our project and single crochet into the stitch you were just in, and then the next stitch for 2. And this is going to begin your first tentacle. So then you're going to chain 1, turn, single crochet, 1, single crochet, 2, chain 1, turn, single crochet, single crochet, chain 1, repeating this process to kind of create that tentacle, single crochet, single crochet, chain 1, turn, and then you're gonna single crochet the 2 stitches together, slip stitch and pull through, and that is going to complete your first tentacle. You can kind of see it along the body, and you're just going to cut that and finish off. Now we're going to go back to the body and just kind of looking at the stitches, we're going to see, where the rest of the tentacles are going to go. So you had 16 stitches for your last round, and you're going to be using 2 stitches each to create your tentacles. So the next tentacle will go 2 stitches to the left, and after that, the 2 stitches after that, 2 stitches after that, 2 stitches after that, and continuing to count that you're going to have the appropriate amount of 8. Now, if you are a left-handed crocheter, you will probably be moving not to the left, but to the right in the opposite direction. But just knowing that you will use 2 stitches for each tentacle will help you greatly. You're going to want to go ahead and remove your stitch marker. Again, if you're a left-handed crocheter, you should start to the right stitch of the tentacle. And let's continue to create some tentacles. Attaching the yarn into that stitch directly to the left. Again, if you're a left-handed crocheter, you're going to probably do the right. And then attaching, single crocheting in that stitch you just attached to, and then in the next one. Make sure you're feeling your stitches to make sure you're going into the right ones. And then repeating the process for the second tentacle. Have it. There's your second tentacle, and this is where the pattern gets a little bit tedious, but that's okay. You're going to be repeating this process until you have 8 tentacles. So you're going to go right into the next stitch and kind of repeat that process all over again. I'm going to show you the first 4 of these tentacles in slow and then speed it up, and I'll meet you at the end. finished all of your tentacles, and you should have 8 going all the way around. Oh boy, look at all of those ends. But if you count them, you should have 8. And you can see when you flip him over, you got his little body, his little deflated body, and you can see all the ends that you're gonna have to weave in. But I promise, guys, it'll be worth it. I promise. So now you're gonna get ready to start your second body and repeat that whole process all over again. You guys will notice while working on this project that this Bernat Velvet Plus, as soft and squishy as it is, it does shed a lot while you're working with it, so you will get the little, fibers hanging around. However, once the project's finished, I find that the yarn doesn't shed as much. So you're going to go right into body number 2 and just start it off the same way you did the first one, going around and just completing the pattern the same exact way you did the first body, making sure all your stitch counts are the same, all your tentacles are the same, and I will meet you at the end. Cutting our final end on our last tentacle, you have completed your second body, and all the crocheting and the hard work is done. And now you're just left with all of these luscious soft ends and the squishy bodies to sew. Be sure to watch part 2 of this pattern, where we will go over how to sew on the faces and attaching the bodies. But before you head over there, make sure you weave in all of these ends prior to heading over there so we can get started. And then make sure when you're sewing your top that you're sewing the hole closed at the top so that we can stuff these correctly. If you like this video and want to see more, be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, where I'll be producing more crochet content. Be sure to check out my website, shannoncreatesdesigns.com, for more patterns, and to check me out on my other social medias. Thanks, guys. Stay tuned.